Greetings, everyone. We are not at another theme park, baby. We are still in Washington, D.C. What are we doing today, baby?
We are going to the African American Museum. Is that what it's called?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it's called. And it's actually right here. Bam! Right where my finger is. Here.
Always gotta point at something, huh?
We have to. We're going into that building in just a few minutes. We're gonna check out this museum now. I've been dying to get to this place for quite some time. So I'm excited. You're excited, baby?
I'm very excited.
And we're hot.
We're
That's why
so
we got
hot.
this G2.
I've never loved Gatorade so much before in my life. And we're on bikes again.
And we're on bikes. Check that out. The bikes have returned. So, all right, let's go in and let's go check this place out. You take a look at the outside. Take a look at that. It's so massive when you look at it from the outside. And when you get closer, it's got this awesome shade. You come hang out by this little fountain. We're hyped. Now, they only allow like a certain amount of people, like every day.
Up or down?
We're gonna go up. We're gonna start up and then we'll just continue to go down. But like at 6:30 every morning, you gotta get up, get your ticket.
Yeah, I was awoken at 6:30 in the morning.
I'm just starting off in the very top of the floor. We're gonna make our way down, but take a look at these books. They have the Montana Federation's Negro Women's Club Cookbook, Melrose Plantation Cookbook. Like all these cookbooks that they had spanning generations for African Americans. So the cool part is this, I want to say this is like this chef's jacket here. The chef's jacket is for Leah Chase. Leah Chase, if you don't already know, she's actually the chief chef at Dookie Chase, which is in New Orleans. So it's really cool. She's like very, very popular in New Orleans. We never got to eat there, but we walked by it. And there's the menu actually. You can see it. So awesome piece of history. Check out this old microphone from NBC. And this is definitely something you would see with Paul Robeson here. Especially like talking about, you know, articulating freedom with images of Malcolm X, Mary McLeod Bethune, and Paul Robeson. You even have the cross from G.E. Patterson here, which is really awesome. And it looks to me a trophy of some sort. I'm not really quite sure. For junior women's oratory. Oh, cool. Here's like the part for August Wilson's theater plays here. As any guys know, we're really big into theater. This is the piano from Fences, used during the stage play. He also did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I actually did a monologue from that show, which was amazing. But here's actually one of the costumes from that very show. This is from The Wiz right here. So this is Glenda's costume. This is Dorothy's costume and the Tin Man. As you can see, like the Tin Man was made out of trash cans. This exhibit right here is just kind of talking about like the minstrel shows and blackface. As you can see, like this is kind of like the original like Jim Crow symbol that they had. And you would see that a lot when you see it here. You see it with that button right there. And this was actually just grease paint, actually. And then there is like, I don't know, like the little like marionette that they would use like for the minstrel shows. Then there's Burt Williams, probably one of the more famous black entertainers. Well, for blackface anyway. One of my favorite shows of all time, Raisin in the Sun. There's a playbill for Raisin in the Sun, like different iterations of it. I actually got to play, not in Raisin in the Sun, but it was the sequel, which was Clybourne Park, a couple years ago. So, yeah. This is one of my favorite shows. I would love to go back and perform this show, whatever it is, auditioning. Well, this is cool. This is Sherman Hemsley's suit from the Jeffersons, and this is Isabel Sanford's dress from the Jeffersons as well. Jimmy Walker's hat, Esther Roll's dress. Yeah. With Flip Wilson, we'll do Geraldine, what you see here. There's the dress. Check out this Cadillac Eldorado. This was actually belonging to Chuck Berry. So this is Chuck Berry's El Dorado. By the way, this is actually Charlie Pride. Now, Charlie Pride was a country singer. He was probably like one of the better known African American country music singers. But this is like what he would wear. Like, this is from his album cover right here. This is really cool. We have the Public Enemy exhibit here. Look at this. Right down to the prop gun that they had on stage. But look at this stereo that they would have. I would almost say that I had something similar to that growing up, but take a look at this. This is a handwritten poem by Tupac. It's not something that he actually used in a song, but he actually went to a theater school in New York, actually, before he actually got into rap. And before he got into rap, he's a backup dancer. It's George Clinton with the mothership that they have at his shows. And then here, Bootsy Collins. You know, the costume for Earth, Wind, and Fire. Here's a little piece from the St. Augustine Church. St. Augustine Church in New Orleans. To see that free people of color use their membership of the Catholic Church to challenge racial barriers and assert their equality. This is actually in the Treme district. Here's the Medal of Honor for Cornelius Charlton for if you do the Korean War. Check that out. Seeing that up close. They even have a wall of all Medal of Honor recipients here on this wall. You can see a lot of African American men who've gotten that honor all throughout.
So here's something I didn't know. I know that blacks fought in the war, but I did not know that 20,000 of them served with the British forces. I had no idea. I wonder what they would have gotten from that if Britain had won.
Here's the uniform of Colin Powell, General Colin Powell, actually. Take a look at his medals. And he's proudly displayed right on his uniform. Here's an example of some that they wear at West Point. Typically the blues dress for Marines.
And here's what they did. So it's pretty much saying that blacks fought for England in the hopes of being free. England was promising freedom if they won. So I guess that's the motivation.
We have this Angola. Like this is the prison. As you can see, they brought like the actual prison cell with like the bathroom, the toilet, the sink, and the bunk beds that they would use. And just to kind of give you guys some background, the United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Louisiana State holds more prisoners than any other correctional facility in the United States. And 75% of the inmates are African American. This is amazing. Like this, we're on the second level right now, and this is definitely like the learning floor. It looks like this is pretty cool. A really cool thing about the Sal Jose. Now the Sal Jose is like one of the first slave ships that left Lisbon to I want to say, what was it, Mozambique? Leaves Lisbon for Mozambique in Africa. But it sunk, so they've been looking for this ship, and they've been kind of looking for like traces of that ship in that area. In fact, if you go to the wreck site, you can actually kind of see, like this is just more of an interactive exhibit here, but you can actually see, you know, sort of what it would be like if I was looking for Sal Jose ship stuff. She could found like some really great information. What is this that we're reading, baby?
Oh, about Charles Syphax. Charles Syphax was a slave owned by Martha Washington's first husband, I think his last name was Custis. I don't remember his first name. But when George Washington died, he freed all of his slaves, but he couldn't free the slaves of Martha Washington. So Charles was pretty much passed down from Martha Washington to her grandson, George Washington Parke Custis. He had a baby with a slave named Maria. His daughter's name was Maria. The slave's name was Ariana. And then Maria married Charles, and they had children. Maria was eventually freed, but Charles still was not freed because he was still owned by Custis. Maria was given land from her father. I don't even know if she knew he was her father, but she was given 7.5 acres when she married Charles. And then in 1862, Charles was finally freed because Robert E. Lee, who was George Washington Parke Custis' son-in-law, freed all the slaves. So then they moved onto the land. What's sad is he literally died like 4 years later, so he was free for 4 years of his life. And then the estate was taken during the Civil War that was given to them, and they fought and petitioned Congress for like 15 years, and then they were able to get the land back.
Now this exhibit is really cool. This is about like the Green Book, and I think we covered it like once before when I went to the Wells Built. But what the Green Book was kind of like a pamphlet. It was a book that if you're a motorist and you're a black motorist, you can only go to certain places. In Orlando, the Wells Built Hotel was the only place in Orlando that they could stay. So this is really neat that you can actually go through the Green Book and see all the areas that black people can go and travel to. And this is like an example of kind of where it is. And you can actually see like there was like a Florida section right here. It was like Miami, Lake City, Jacksonville, Delray Beach, Daytona Beach. You can actually see like some of the places here in DC that they would be able to go to. All right, so we made it from the top level, third level, second level. Now we're going first. Now the first level is kind of like the entry, but now we're going to the very, very below.
The basement level. I wonder if this area ever floods.
Probably not.
Everywhere in DC floods if there's a basement.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm excited.
But I think this one is I think this one really kind of goes over like slavery and everything else like that. The beginning of all of it. So we're going in right now to check everything out. So this giant elevator, we got to go down, and we're about to go inside because this is going to start our journey. Although we worked backwards, where we came from and where we started. Let's go. This is kind of where it all starts. This is the beginning of a lot of stories, including mine. Now, one of the things that you really gotta keep in mind here is all the continents kind of work together almost as one, but trading in goods like quickly turned into trading of people. The trade in enslaved people had become more lucrative than buying and selling spices and precious metals. So the plantation system was expanding rapidly in the Americas, and the European demand for slave labor pulled a steady stream of captives from the American interior. Wow. Look at all this stuff. This right here, this is the whip that they would use. This is that new form of slavery. Now, this isn't like that bullwhip that you'll see from Indiana Jones, but this is what they'd use. It was a leather belt that it looks like, almost attached to a stick. And this would actually evolve in time, but this was like the early iteration of it. This is like a sugarcane pot. This is something that you see a lot of. We see it a lot in the plantations in Florida, actually, only because slaves and sugar mills, that was kind of like a big driver for that. And they used a lot of enslaved Africans to run those sugar mills. You can actually see the collar here, as well as the ankle restraints. Now, when I was talking about San Jose, there's some of the artifacts that they recovered from the wreck. Just pieces of wood. There was a pulley here, but it's just like pieces of wood here. And you can actually see shackles. That was from the San Jose. What were these, baby?
So these are the ships and the countries they came from when the voyage began. How many were actually captured and how many survived the trip?
So out of 513, 379 like survived.
And it's all around there. It's all around the entire thing.
Oh man, this one is horrible. Like this one right here, they took 150, but only 100. Oh wait, that's only like a 30 lost, but. I think even just seeing they died. But even then, it's terrible. And this is not just in one little area. This is all over on the walls.
Look at the one that went to France.
Look at this one.
500 went, only 107 made it.
It's all over the walls. Every slave ship.
Enslaved people made up the black majority. This enabled them to maintain cultural practices and create new American cultures. In large port cities like Charleston, New Amsterdam,
And it leads you to this hall. This is outstanding. One of the most important things I've seen so far right now, and this is remarkable. This is a bronze statue of Thomas Jefferson, but behind him is all the names of every slave that he's owned. And he had about 609 of them. One that you want to just focus in on is that one right there that I just pointed to. It's Sally Hemings. And Sally Hemings, well, you know her because Thomas Jefferson decided to rape her, and she had many, many African American children by him. So there are a lot of black descendants of Thomas Jefferson that are alive today. This statue is one of Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker. Well, he's one of the few people who challenged Thomas Jefferson to really erase that negative connotation of slaves and African Americans. Then eventually, once sugar production was kind of done, and they kind of moved into cotton, picking cotton. This is the cotton gin, and this is what they would use to feed the cotton in, and to like manufacture or purify it or whatever. There's not too much about Nat Turner. He actually led a rebellion of slave owners, but there's his Bible that he carried around on him. It's very small, very tiny, but this is incredible. So this right here is it's a Point of Pines cabin. This cabin is fully intact, as you can see. It still has the chimney back here. A lot of the stuff inside. Now we can't go in, it's guarded off, but this cabin stood on the Point of Pines plantation in South Carolina from 1853 to 2003. So built during slavery, it served as a shelter or pen, a home, and perhaps a gathering place. There was no security here, because no enslaved person was free from assault by slave owners, even at home. This cane once belonged to Frederick Douglass, and you can kind of see carvings in the cane. Just remind people of kind of where they came from.
Black soldiers consciously built a foundation for citizenship and voting.
Take a look in here. Oh, the Jones Hall Sim House. Look at this. African American life in Montgomery County. Yeah, because they had Robert Smalls. He was a U.S. congressman, and he fought in the Civil War. He held and he was elected to several offices, including the House of Representatives, and then lost all that power when they deprived the blacks the right to vote. In Nevada, they actually had gambling, but in 1912 there was a law that a white person couldn't marry any person with Ethiopian or black race, Malay or brown race, Mongolian or yellow race, the Indian or red race within the state, and it continued on all the way up until 1957 in Nevada.
26.
So no native of China was ever able to vote in the state of California.
From 1879 to 1926.
This stool right here is actually from Woolsworth. I believe this was actually a sit-in in Greensboro, North Carolina. They preserved this stool, and you can actually come over here, go to the lunch counter.
Choose a movement to join, and then you can choose which movement you want to join. So let's do busking or boycotts. Call to action, organization, and negotiation. Are you ready to begin?
And it gives you like scenarios. So 1955, on your way home from work, you and African Americans sit in unmarked whites only section in front of the bus. As the bus fills with passengers, a white man is forced to stand while you continue to sit. The driver demands you give him your seat. So if it's a call to action, how do you react? Quickly to give up your seat. And your defiance supports your mission. 80% of the visitors agree. So there was a segregated coach in the Southern Railway Company, which is right here. And we can actually go inside of it. The conservation and restoration of the Jim Crow railroad car was supported in part by the Save America Treasures. So I'm thinking about certain like railway cars, especially when it was segregated, is that it was literally stripped down to the very, very bare, like minimum. Didn't really have much that they could have. Now we can't really go inside, but if you look here, really not a lot. Oh, well, the gallery's closed for renovation, but you can go inside. mean, it's very... Here's fragments from the glass shards, actually, from the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham. Very terrible situation that happened. These are some of the remains. Here's like an example of the outside of what the Baxter Terrace, which is a housing project in New Jersey, would look like. I'm still like, did it have a, oh, it must have had a handle right here.
No, so this is just, you have to have a key to get inside, and on the inside it's a push. This is what the door originally looked like, and when funding got lost, they got rid of this and they put like wood over it, and then they paved the ground. It used to be different.
Wow.
And the project.
Were further down.
This is the Barack Obama section. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I know a lot of people are gonna watch this video and they have a lot of things they want to say about Obama, but what it means to me is that I can do it. It's directly ingrained in my history, regardless of what anybody else says, what anybody else believes. I don't care if you side with him or not, but you have to understand, at least from my point of view, this is so deeply rooted in what I'm doing now. It's amazing and it's beautiful. Also, take a look up here, baby. The Spirit of Tuskegee. The airplane flown by the Tuskegee Airmen. I do. All right. We've now left that museum. Holy moly.
Holy shit.
Holy...
No, shit.
Shit.
That's how I was feeling.
Alright. Talk about it, babe.
When you go down to the later levels and they start you from the 1400s when like the African slave trade started, I honestly had no idea that the Portuguese were trading and people from the Netherlands and all that BS. So by like the time we finished it, I think we were probably around like the 1600s or so. I was at the point of like tears. Like I wanted to cry. I was angry.
There's a lot of parts in that exhibit, that last exhibit that we went through.
Yeah.
That really angered you.
I was very angry, and I didn't talk for a while. I just walked around silently. What the exhibit does a good job of doing is, one, you guys saw earlier, is when it takes you down, it goes through the years. So it starts from the 2000s and it goes down to the 1400s.
Right.
When you work your way up, you start to see like the growth of like Africans in America. You get to see us go from Africans with no home, no culture, no freedoms, nothing, to a people who have completely embraced the American experience and made it their own with their own cultures and music and food and all that. And we become America, especially ending with that last poem by Langston Hughes, I am America, not American, like America. So we became a part of it, and you left feeling like things would continue to get better. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I felt the same way. I think the way we did it, we started at the very top and we kind of moved our way down, and kind of got you in the right frame of mind and really prepared. I think the lower level, learn about slavery, learning about, you know, what happened during, like, you know, the Civil War and the American Revolution, as well as learning about like segregation and Jim Crow laws, and then going into, you know, they had a great exhibit. Now I couldn't film it. They have no cameras, but they have a great Emmett Till exhibit And you walk in, now see with Emmett Till, he was beaten and dragged, and his face was unrecognizable. So his mom made the call to make an open casket. Now what happens is, the open casket is here. Now of course he's not in it, the body would have been very decomposed, but the picture of the body is in the casket. And you go in and you would have to pay your respects. That is like really powerful. And this is going to be a very long vlog, and I don't really care.
We were in there for about 3 hours.
We were in there for a very long time.
We went in there at 2:30 and it's 5:30 now. We just left.
And the Air and Space one, I don't think we were in there for very long.
Probably
we were in there for about a good
45 minutes.
Maybe about in a good hour, because I think you see everything that you need to see. And I think this museum was everything that I need to see. So that was fantastic. This place is fantastic. If you make it to DC, go here. Go here. Go here. Go here. I can't stress that enough. It is that good. It is that fantastic. But that's it. I'm done. I'm not sick of this ever. Our history is really rooted in this. Mine, Sheeka's, everybody's. I'm out. Make the ground shake.